Downing Street is exploring plans for digital ID cards. I'm going to read into this more from the Independent, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from The Independent with the headline that Downing Street is exploring plans for a digital ID card. The ID card will be stored on a smartphone linked to government records according to a think tank proposal. Now, I'll read into this a little bit more, but just a reminder to hit that like button and share this across social media so others are notified of this video. So I have no problem with some form of ID for people to have. And I think a digital ID, especially if it's free, because that's the question, whether it's going to be free or not, I think would definitely help a lot of issues. Obviously, we know that in many countries in Europe, they have a form of, they have like an ID card that they have as part, they have to get around rather than them having to take their passport for those within the European Union, for example. And I think something like this would definitely help people, especially when it comes to age restrictions on certain things as well. And I think just having that form of identification on your mobile phone, one that is recognised by enforcement, whether it's by police or public services or whatever, would be a useful tool for people. And I do think that perhaps this digital ID could also should without question be used as a form of needed for register, because at the moment they're not getting rid of the ID rule for voting, which is bloody stupid in my opinion, but that's a topic for another discussion. But when I had the conversation, I've talked about this in the past about IDs and some kind of identification on them, because obviously getting a passport is expensive and renewing your passport is expensive, because I paid about 60 to 80 quid roughly on renewing my last passport, and then luckily passports last 10 years, but still it's still a huge amount of money that you are paying to renew your passport, which is a lot of money, guys. It is a lot of money to renew your passport. But obviously, those who cannot afford a passport don't have a particular. Those who cannot afford to renew their passport, obviously, need a particular form of ID to identify themselves. And obviously, there are ways you can do about that. Obviously, a provisional license as well, or driving license is another form of ID that people carry around. But there's also that means of people don't like carrying lots of cards and lots of wallets with lots of different things on it. They like to have all the things into one device, and this is where the digital ID card idea comes us. I do think this is something that we should definitely the government should take an interest in. I do think it's something that I agree with. Pretty much everyone in society has a mobile phone. At least a digital one that can have your digital ID card on it. So I think it's something that definitely should be explored and definitely should be more looked into. So Downing Street is exploring a proposal to introduce digital ID cards for every adult in the UK in a move to tackle the UK's illegal migration crisis, according to reports. So the new BritCard will be used to check in on individuals' rights to live and work in Britain, with senior number 10 figures examining the proposals at the time it's reported. Now, I'm personally not looking at this as a means in terms of migration, but I'm using it as a means of self-identifying who you are. The card stored on a smartphone will reportedly be linked to government records and could check entitlements to benefits and monitors welfare fraud. The scheme supporters think it would send a clear signal that the UK is not a soft touch on illegal migration and help ease the small boat crisis. It will do nothing to stop people crossing on the boats. This whole digital ID thing, let me just make this clear. If you're somebody who actually thinks that this proposal is going to reduce people coming across on the boats, stop people coming across on boats, you're living in cuckoo land. It's not going to happen. There's nothing in this proposal, no matter what tweaks or whatever they do to it, will stop somebody getting in a boat to try and come to the UK, okay? Let's be absolutely clear about that. The idea was one of former Prime Minister Tony Blair's flagship policies in Downing Street, but it was killed after he lost power. Proposals from the think tank Labour Together, whose founders include the number 10's Chief of Staff Morgan McSweeney, has been backed previously by dozens of Labour MPs, with the new paper endorsed by two Red Bull MPs, Jake Richards and Adam Jolks. The analysis in the paper found that the ID cards, a hugely controversial policy proposal during the Tony Blair's era, would make right to rent and right to work checks quicker and easier for tenants and employees. Yeah, this is the one thing I definitely want. People's you want less paperwork, less time of them spending checking off people, and if they've got IDs that verify who they are, it's less work here for the employers as well. Paper reportedly said it would cost up to £400 million to build the system and around £10 million a year to administer as a free to phone to use app. I consider that money well spent, in my opinion. In their 4-4, Richard, a former MP for Rothergary, and Jolts, the MP for Newcastle under Lyme, said the BritCard should form an important part of Labour's enforcement strategy that does not compromise our principles and values according to the report. I don't see it in any way, shape or form that it would. They said that those living in the UK without registered status were exploited by criminal employers, which in turn suppresses wages for legal citizens and migrants alike. Yeah, this would actually push poor people. This would make life more difficult for those who aren't working as well, to be fair. It might in some capacity as well. Although people will still just pay them cash in hand as well as a way of getting around it. They said the coalition government's hostile environment had made a very little difference to the overall numbers, but had a disproportionate cruel effect on those unfairly targeted. The Windrush scandal saw thousands of people wrongly targeted by immigration enforcement, including many legitimate British citizens who were unjustly detained or deported, they said. We believe that a progressive government does not have to choose between dealing with these injustices. They must tackle them all head on. And I agree. I'm in favour of this idea of an ID card of some sorts, especially a digital one. And a digital one is definitely a lot. While it costs money to build the system and administrate it, in terms of what it would do in terms for people and in terms of self-identifying, I think it's a very good thing. And most importantly, it must be free. It must be free for British citizens. I think it should be at least. I'm in favour of it, and I don't see any reason why we should not be exploring this idea. I know some people might think of it as the government's spying on you or snooping on you or information about you. No, it's a form of ID of identifying who you are, okay, of you, because you don't carry your passport around with you all the time. That's the reality. Yeah, you do have it. You do have a form of ID of who you are on your phone, right? Well, this is one of the main. This is going to be one of the main government ones that to be used. So I don't personally have an issue with this digital ID card. But maybe some of you disagree. Maybe some of you think you have a problem with it. Maybe some of you think it might be too much surveillance from the government. Let me know your honest thoughts about a digital ID card in the UK down in the comments section below. Now, if you found this video interesting or informative in any way, hit that like button, share it across social media, subscribe if you haven't already. Check out Rumble and Patreon. I do have exclusive content on those platforms as well. And if you want to financially support me in the work that I do here, you can click the join button down below to become a YouTube member for as little as 99p, get access to perks, and including also getting early access to additional content as well. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.